Today's video is about a really tough and emotional topic that's been making headlines across the US. So there's been a lot of outrage lately over vets getting kicked out of hotels in New York to house migrants. Now it's really sad to see so many former soldiers struggling with PTSD being left without a roof over their heads. I mean, these veterans, they serve their country, taking an oath to put themselves in harm's way if need be. They deserve better. We owe them. Our country, our state, our citizens owe them. But it's not just the vets who are affected. In fact, evictions are on the rise in a lot of US cities. Check this out.
But as you referenced, the eviction lab at Princeton is one of the best sources we have, and they look at up-to-date eviction trends in 30 some odd cities. The bottom line is that data in recent months indicates that evictions are rising far above pandemic levels and likely meeting, if not exceeding, pre-pandemic levels across much of the country. The story here, as you referenced, is that during the pandemic, because so many people lost their jobs, the federal government took a series of steps to stave off an eviction crisis, and it worked. They instituted a moratorium on evictions, and Congress provided $46 billion in emergency rental assistance, as well as other COVID-related stimulus. This was highly effective at preventing evictions. Despite so many jobs lost, evictions during the pandemic were lower than pre-pandemic levels.
Like one of the quotes I got, if rent is $1,700, $1,800, or $1,900, you do the math. You need 3 times that in income. It rules out a lot of people, end quote. Drop a quick comment if you guys can relate. Are you struggling with your household situation too? Let me know a little bit about your situation in the comments. In Atlanta, evictions are going up like crazy due to rising rental prices and the end of federal funding for rent. Teachers, police officers, firefighters, and other hardworking people, they're finding it harder and harder to be able to afford a place to live. And in Connecticut, evictions are still way higher than before the pandemic, leaving tons of families with nowhere to go and their stuff out on the street. And it's really just stressful and heartbreaking just to see how many people are in this situation where, they're struggling to pay their bills and just to keep a roof over their heads. Now, according to the people, the boots on the ground, quote, "The fact is Connecticut is in a housing crisis. There's no other way to talk about this," end quote. Now, I think the whole country may at some point enter into a housing crisis, not to mention an overall financial economic crisis. But what do you guys think? So yeah, let's definitely dive into this tough topic and let's see exactly what's going on and what we can do to prepare ourselves and avoid financial ruin. There's no denying it, guys. The economy is in the toilet right now. The job market is brutal, housing prices are going down, and the stock market is taking a nosedive. Even cryptocurrency is not doing us any favors. It's like we've been ignoring all the warning signs and not doing what we need to do to build wealth and to protect ourselves from these tough times. There are some financial freedom fundamentals to follow if we want to avoid complete financial meltdown and to keep our families afloat. But instead, we've been spending more than we make, burying ourselves in credit card debt with high interest rates, and not saving a dime. And let's be real, you guys. You're not going to get wealthy if you can't make money while you sleep. And if we don't start building investments and growing our wealth, we're going to be working until the day we die. And the worst part is we might not even have a home to go back to. It's not a food shortage, it's not an EMP strike or invasion that's going to get us. Nope, it's going to be people's poor financial decisions. But you know what? Even if you skimp and save as much as possible, it may not be enough. You got to learn how to grow your money, how to compound your money. You know what I'm saying? Did you guys hear about the vets getting evicted from Orange County hotels? Yeah. Some crazy stuff for sure. So there were like 20 of them, and a lot of them have PTSD and were really shaken up by this whole thing. The veteran community leaders were totally against it and they spoke out right away. These guys had only been in the hotel rooms for just a couple of weeks when they got the boot. And now people are pointing fingers at Mayor Eric Adams for busing the migrants to Orange County. Republican Congressman Mike Lawler, he said this, quote, "It's absolutely outrageous that homeless veterans would be displaced to alleviate New York City's migrant crisis. That Mayor Eric Adams would choose to endanger the welfare of our veterans speaks volumes to what a debacle this has become," end quote. What a mess. But hey, let's do what we can with what we have, right? Now, honestly, it's not even about financial education anymore. You guys already know that. That's why you keep coming back to the channel and our financial freedom fam. The information's out there, but we still have people who blow their cash on fancy Starbucks drinks that they can't afford or designer handbags, shoes that they just don't need just to show off on social media. They rack up a ton of credit card debt, buying gifts for people who they don't even like, while their rent and their mortgage payments go unpaid. Some are even living out of their cars. And with businesses planning to lay off tens of thousands of workers as we head into 2023, it's only going to get worse. People need to start preparing for the worst and protecting themselves for this recession. In Metro Atlanta, it's getting crazy with evictions going way higher than during the pandemic. Cobb Legal Aid is saying that they've got more cases than they ever had before. People are getting the boot left and right because rental prices are going up like crazy and the federal funding to help with the rent is ending. It's hitting hard, especially for the lower level professionals like teachers, police officers, firefighters, who are just having a hard time finding affordable places to live. Now, apparently they've seen almost 7,000 eviction cases in Cobb County alone this year, which is like 600 more than last year. And normally in January, there's only around 2,000 evictions, but this year it's more like 2,200. It's a real mess. In Connecticut, single, have families, and young professionals only have renting an apartment as their best and sometimes only choice. But as rent prices continue to climb, many people are having to make tough decisions just to keep a roof over their heads. So just imagine this. You land a new job in one of the big cities. Now in Connecticut, that's Hartford, Bridgeport, or New Haven. So now it's time to find a place to live, right? But finding an affordable place to live is proving to be an even bigger challenge than landing the job in the first place. So what's up with that? Ultimately, this is an issue that many Americans are facing today, not just in Connecticut. And even sadder are the evictions numbers that are going up. In Connecticut, where evictions are still exceeding pre-pandemic levels, 22,749 evictions were filed in 2022. This is a jump from 2019, where there were 19,104. So far, this year, those numbers are closer to the 2019s, but still higher. Now, as one advocate put it, quote, "This is a crisis," and that is happening everywhere. Some of the numbers have been astounding, where I've heard of people's rents going up over $1,000, end quote. And that's why leaders like New Haven Mayor Justin Elicker are working to increase the supply of affordable apartments. Mayor Elicker says that they've already added 900 new affordable units in the past 3 years, with almost 500 more in the works for the future. State leaders like Connecticut Housing Commissioner Sheila Mozaquera Bruno are also trying to work with companies to bring more housing projects online as more and more people move to the area. Now, when they ask these leaders about the idea of a rent cap, which has been discussed in many big cities, they say it's worth considering. However, they also mention that it's often a deal breaker for development companies who don't want these types of restrictions. Typical, right? Jerome Powell over at the Federal Reserve, they already warned us that things are going to get ugly real quick. Millions of jobs will disappear, unemployment will skyrocket, and the economy, it will shrink. And families and businesses will likely suffer. And what are the other channels and mainstream media doing about it? Not a whole lot. These people are out there spending money like it's going out of style. They're not trying to hustle and increase their income. They're not trying to budget any better. They're really not even trying to save a dime. Instead, people are blowing their cash on Starbucks, Louis Vuitton, and Lululemon like it grows on trees. And I think you guys already know. It's time to wise up and stop throwing our hard-earned money at high-interest credit card debt and ridiculous store accounts. I know for my wife, she used to blow so much cash in Forever 21 and Nike when we could barely afford it. Oh, don't get me wrong. We love their stuff, but we didn't have the money for it. Yeah, let's definitely get it together before it's too late. You know, I keep getting emails all the time like, "Hey Ron, can you help me out, man? I'm about to get thrown out. I don't have enough cash. I'm way behind on my rent. I've already got eviction notices hanging on the door and my landlord's hiding in the bushes waiting to pounce on me. Can you help me out? How can I start making money now? How do I get passive income? How do I invest?" A friend of mine was telling me about their experience losing their place of 7 years. They were humiliated and they had to sell their leather couch for the deposit on the quickest place that they could find. We can and will survive this assault on the US by the WEF and the president that people installed in the White House. His advice to me? Be strong, be safe. Now, on the other hand, I also hear from people who put in the hard work and they're now reaping the financial rewards. They have both of their cars paid off, small amounts of bills except for what's necessary like utilities, and 2 credit cards which have very small balances like under $50. They have precious metals like gold and silver, plus some cash saved. They got some investments in the stock market, ETFs, index funds. Yeah. They've definitely gone without for a while, but now they're totally grateful to be dipping and dodging what many people are facing. I mean, really, these are the guys who didn't buy into keeping up with the Joneses, and the hardships that they've had over the last 6 years, it prepared them for now. Really, the only thing that makes them nervous is the place where they rent at. Otherwise, they're pretty good. I mean, I could give you some tips and tricks, but the thing is, do you have enough time? It's called cut back on everything. No Starbucks, no Disneyland, no nothing but housing, basic food stuff, rice and beans. Yeah, it's harsh, but times are harsh too. Like they say, tough times, they don't last, but tough people do. But yeah, I know, it's a struggle, especially since these are things that we should have been doing ages ago. Now, the problem is that the problem is already here, and it's knocking at your door, and it's banging down the doors for some people. But you know what? It's easier to do what's hard when it's easy. It's much easier to find ways to increase your income, to add to your your earning ability and to diversify your income streams as you work toward acquiring cash flow producing assets and you're building passive income streams. It's easier to spend less than you make. It's easier to budget. It's easier to pay off, eliminate, consolidate, and get out of debt when you have a home to reside in and rest your head safely at night. But it's harder to do when you're already faced with the increased challenges of being homeless after an eviction. Landlords are looking for tenants to evict, not only to rid themselves of non-payment, but to replace them with paying tenants at higher monthly rent or lease prices. It's in their best interest to do that. Why? So that they can increase their earning potential and their passive income and diversified income streams. And don't even get me started on the huge influx of migrants ready and willing to take these rentals in the cities that they're working in. These landlords want to give it to them ASAP. But more on this on the next one. Just keep dropping those questions and requests in the comments. I'll be sure to get back with you guys. Know that all of my content I base on what's happening right now, plus what you guys are asking about. So yeah, just go ahead and let me know what you guys want to know. What do you guys want to know? What do you guys want me to talk about? But for now, let's go ahead and call this a wrap for today's financial freedom update. We talked about a lot of heavy topics, from evictions in Metro Atlanta to veterans getting kicked out of hotels to make way for migrants. But don't worry, guys. We also talked about some solutions like local leaders pushing for more affordable housing options and the importance of increasing your income streams. Hopefully you found this video helpful and informative. Make sure to hit the like button for the video and subscribe to the channel for your daily dose of the truth and financial updates. I appreciate you guys watching. I'm gonna see you on the next one.